Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. It is Tuesday, the 7th of April. My name is Felicia Holder, and you are watching Pep Talks in the Morning. Joining me this morning, we have Natalia Moore, who is the head of our youth arm. Natalia, good morning.
Good morning, Felicity, and how are you?
I am great, and I love your prickiness this morning. Anthony Dufour, good morning, Deputy Political Leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Welcome again to Pep Talks in the Morning.
Good morning, Felicia. Good morning, Natalia. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. How are you today?
Oh, Anthony, we're great, but you came across a little slurred there. So either you had a little too much to drink last night, or that was just your internet connection throwing you all the way down. So hopefully that corrects itself at some point during the show. This morning, I went to sleep last night, and the last thing that I said to anybody last night was that I hope that the anger and the rage that I have in my heart and my head right now towards us, and I'm not excluding myself, towards us as Trinbagonians last me all the way until the morning because I wanted to attack a particular topic where we as Trinbagonians really and truly showed our colors. And I mean, ever so often, and I dive in head first into it, as you can see, and no niceties and formalities this morning. Ever so often, we as Trinbagonians have the opportunity to show how really and truly disgusting we can be as a people. And for anybody watching this show and wondering how can I be so on the offense this morning, it's because yesterday, you guys, we left me extremely disgusted by the way we handled and managed that situation with the doubles vendors versus the more established fast food restaurants, in particular KFC. And like I said, ever so often we have an opportunity to show our ways, like when that woman broke the Massey stores again, when she went into Massey stores and stole groceries, obviously to feed a family, when we attacked those people who decided to go on a cruise, whereas we had 50,000 people come here for Carnival. Again, not understanding the absolute hypocrisy of our actions. And then here we are yesterday, where our spoiled child, aka Prime Minister, through a huge stand, decided that he cannot see about the needs of the small man and the big man, that he's going to cancel the playing field for all. And we clapped. We clapped and we cheered and we said, good for them. And be lining up in around the corner, breaking the same social distancing rules that we accused the doubles vendor of, go and stock up on a month worth of chicken. That's to be. Natalie, feel free to jump into this conversation at this point because I'm not sure if you're as irate as I am, but it definitely is going to be something that we explore from all angles. You go ahead.
Honestly, right. So honestly, it feels a bit spiteful. Um, it feels a bit feels like okay, if we have a problem with KFC being open as opposed to a doubles vendor, and he's not actually a doubles vendor because he's in this building, so it's like a proper establishment in a building. We have an issue with KFC, and we're saying that the doubles vendor should do it, and then all of a sudden, okay, if we have a problem with KFC, we're gonna just shut down all restaurants. Which someone like me who cooks seldomly, you know, I have an issue with that. Being honest, it just feels like he was being spiteful and said, okay, if one can't do it and I can't, he didn't actually fix the problem. He just was like, if one can't do it, I'm honestly going to just shut down everything. That to me has been a bit. But Tradians on the whole, right? Well, they were supporting source doubles, and then at the end of it, they were like, So you shut down KFC. Isn't that a bit? That's a bit when you think of it. How could you jump sides so quickly?
It is, and I mean, we have so many myths and arguments to debunk this morning, and I'm opening my thread of questions from people who said all manner of absolute rubbish yesterday. And the first one I want to talk about is just how selfish we are as Trinbagonians. Like you say, in the beginning, we had the support for source doubles. We had support for all doubles vendors because for me, this issue was never about source doubles as much as they may have been the ones to raise the arguments in the public space first. They were the ones who actually went to lawyers to get that letter written to the minister and to the prime minister, and they have been the ones who more or less represented doubles vendors in this entire fight, or I would say struggle for equity and equality in a land that is Trinidad and Tobago, where we are so quick to fight down our own in an attempt to raise some night. Yes, it was so last night. The last thing that I wrote on Facebook last night, that it was so, there was something so disturbing about watching us cheer on the destruction of a small local business while lining up in the hundreds to prop up an international chicken franchise. And I like, I want to say from the start and off the bat, this argument for me was never, ever, ever, ever about KFC versus doubles, about Royal Castle or Pizza Boys or Churches or Subway or
And
any
it
other
shouldn't
vendor
be.
that may have been able to remain open during this time of COVID because food was considered an essential service. It was never about one versus the other. It was always about giving everybody a fair playing field. If you're saying that food is an essential service, it's like saying groceries are essential service, but only telling Truva they can open and Massy stores can't. And when Massy stores ask, why can't we open? Because you're not offering wash basins and hand sanitizer and soap and gloves at your establishment. And then Massey says, okay, we're going to adapt and offer wash basements, soap, gloves, and hand sanitizers at our basement and then at our locations. And then being told, no, we want and we have only given like true value to open. That same disparity is what we would do to the doubles vendors. People will make argument that doubles vendors encourages people to line up outside their establishment. I said, and KFC chicken encourage people to sit down in their restaurant and eat chicken, but we adapted. We removed all the tables and chairs. We said only 10 people or 5 people can come in at a time. We said line up in an orderly manner. We encourage and push more delivery services. We said we will have the electronic why do I always forget the name of that? The electronic banking, that's not the name. But
The
those things that allow you to
the portable. Yeah.
the portable machines. We're going to make sure that all of our locations have portable machines so that you can pay with your links or your credit card. You're not only tied to cash. People have adapted, and the doubles man, just like the KFC vendor, just like Massey stores, just like the gyro vendors opened by Grand Bazaar said, we are going to. We are going to do just like Starbucks, offer curbside delivery, but better yet, we're going to actually wear masks and gloves, and we're going to deliver it with an extra style. And yet still, they weren't allowed. And I have to say, when I say our prime minister, he threw a tantrum. It was like, you know what? That it reminded me of that of Monopoly. When I play Monopoly,
Literally. Wow. He
when I
literally
play
just shut
Monopoly,
everything down.
he did. He did. I'm very competitive, and the last time I played Monopoly, and I realized that I was losing. and I was losing badly. The first instinct, and this is a very childish, very petty instinct. The first instinct, and you get so mad, it's like you just want to knock all of the pieces off the board and say, "Game over. Nobody can play anymore. If I can't win, nobody can
I'm,
win."
I'm
I
so
didn't do
sorry. I
that.
have that same thing with me. Oh my god.
It's the, I
The
will
last
call it
night,
the
yeah.
competitive nature of being a woman. But I'm sure you exercise restraints, and
Yes,
I
I do.
myself have to exercise restraints because life teaches you that when you lose or when you get attacked or when you're in the back, that's not a reason to mash up everything for everybody else. And that is exactly what the Prime Minister did yesterday. In a huge tantrum, and rather than address the fact that he could not deal, or rather than address the fact that he may not have dealt with the situation correctly, rather than come back as a leader and show great empathy. And again, this man, there's so many instances in this entire COVID-19 experience that he had to show me that he was not the person that I thought he was. This was one of those incidents. This was where I was looking to him, and I'm not one of those people who say I wouldn't give you a chance. I was actually giving him a chance to come back and say, I didn't deal with the situation of doubles vendors correctly. And in the haste to get a list of essential services out, I may have overlooked the fact that doubles vendors actually provide a very huge service to people from low income families who, like Philip said in a post last night, reach into your pocket and see you only have $5 and $10 and was able to eat a meal. You can't buy even a portion of fries in KFC for $10. And these are the people that we conveniently forget about when we go on the attack. And yesterday, when we went on the attack, as very selfish Trinbagonians, I saw comments that were racist, that threatened the lives of vendors. I saw somebody say that he will never eat doubles again. I even saw the comment and the now popular argument because suddenly we are all experts in income taxes that doubles vendors do pay tax. So why are we supporting the people who never give back anything to the economy? These same people who were lined up a month ago to order soup with slide pepper are now turning their backs on their very own people. And this really angers me. And I have to say it angers me because we lack we lack empathy as a people. We lack empathy in the way we treat our fellow people. And I don't know if Anthony is back in the conversation, Natalia. You feel free to at this point and give your opinion. I'm sorry, Anthony seems to be having some technical difficulties because I know
How
he
are
had a
you?
lot to say. Is
Is he there?
Anthony?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you hear me clearly. Give me an okay
We're
on that.
hearing you. We're hearing you.
Are you hearing me okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if
Yeah.
the okay. You hearing me?
Yes.
What you've said this morning, um, it's serious and it's by ourselves as Trinidad and Tobagonians because of division.
That is coming across
I am
very broken up for me.
I was not going to say that. It's very slowed and very
well
broken up,
hearing
like syllables.
which one. Yes, basically,
Yeah, I think we're going to have to call in Anthony and bring him into the conversation. His internet seems to be giving a lot of problems this morning. So we're going to keep his picture up on the screen and call him and bring him into the conversation via the phone. Natalia, I know you had some stuff
Call in?
you
You want me
wanted
to
to
call
say.
in?
Well, yeah, we're going to bring you in on the phone, Anthony.
Right. So while we get Anthony on the phone, y- you know what's ironic enough? This incident could have been easily fixed. It could have been easily solved. He could have even gone back on his word after he decided to close all restaurants. Because logically speaking, sometimes you have to think logically and not decide to be like, okay, it's going my way, so I'm going to shut everything down. I'm going to flip that monopoly board over because, I'm losing. You have to step back and think logically. This is to because aside from this whole incident, we now have a whole grouping of people home for 2 weeks without pay. They're going to be paid for the last 2 weeks that they work, but what about this 2 week? And people in Trinidad and Tobago survive on a paycheck to paycheck basis. So now you have an extra workforce that is home. You had regular workers home in the beginning, but now you have the workers that do delivery. You have restaurant workers that, were working part-time or who had hours cut up are now home as well. I don't think that was a well thought out idea. He didn't think into the future of like, okay, if I do this now, what's happening? What's the end all be all? Who's going to be affected? Nothing was like that was thought
Natalia,
about.
what in these past 3.5 weeks have shown you that anything was well thought out? Come on. I mean,
Policy
everything that
high.
is government seems to be reactive and overcorrection. And I read in this post, Anthony, good morning.
Morning, Felicia. Sorry about that. We have a horrible internet streak in Santa Cruz area. Funny as it is, I don't know if it's the mountains or anyway. Great apologies for that, but we'll see how we can sort that out in the next few days.
Yeah, no problem. We were just talking about the incident again, and I was going to read this post by Philip last night that I thought was so on the button. Overcorrection is all this government knows as it veers wildly all over the landscape. You could have put rules in place for curbside collection of all restaurants to limit contact, but you rather abuse the power of office to shut down all rather than admit you were wrong in the handling of doubles vendors who were actually complying more with the regulations and safety protocols than KFC was. Arrogant, irresponsible, bullying from the Prime Minister advised by a pack of fools. Elect clowns into office, expect a circus. I could not say it better because
Yeah.
that is exactly what we've been touching on this morning. The fact that that was an opportunity yesterday for the government and the prime minister to really show their empathy, to really show that they were about uniting this country because apart from the Trinbagonians attacking the doubles vendors for more or less causing the closure of KFC or attacking them saying that they don't pay taxes whereas KFC pays income taxes. Apart from that, there was also the fact that they were attacking on the basis of race. And there's another instance where, and I have to say, if this was an underhand ploy to come back and use us to divide us, I would say they did an absolute good job because yesterday, judging by the comments and the remarks that I saw on Facebook yesterday, Anthony, by some of the calls that I listened to coming in on some of those radio stations, and some of you radio announcers need to be extremely ashamed of yourselves. You are some of the frontline people as it pertains to filtering information from the government, parliament, down to the people, and you hold such an important position. And I see the irresponsible way in which you carry yourself, urban radio stations, you know them yourselves, laughing and kicking them, carrying up about people calling in to say F doubles and we ain't buying that again. And you see what? You all hold an important position in this country, believe it or not. Whether you are spinning music with the headphones in or not. And if you hear this, if you see this, please do better. But anyway, listening to some of those comments yesterday, Anthony, we have managed, Anthony and Natalia, sorry, we have managed once again to divide ourselves along racist and tribalist lines. And I have to give a round of applause to the government, to the Prime Minister, to his COVID-19 response team, if this was indeed their plot, because they did it so seamlessly, so inconspicuous that we are here today and yesterday arguing amongst ourselves, further dividing our...
I said, what a way to be baited. If that was indeed their plot, what a way to be baited.
What a way to be baited indeed. And I mean, I had to sit back, look at that play and give them all the kudos, because they might be heartless, they might be many things, but they're smart at politics and they're smart at playing partisan politics. And I have to give them the kudos for being able to do that. And I say all of this very sarcastically, of course, because there's no winner or loser in all of this. We all lose. We all lose as a society. Anthony, I know you had gotten cut off earlier, so I want to give you this opportunity to say on the topic.
All right. Well, what I was saying before I got cut off was, it's a prime example as to everything that's happening on the ground, not just by government, but we have to also look at the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We have been in 57 years divided. We do not identify ourselves as Trinidad and Tobagonians. And the issue of the day truly is, it's a pandemic that we are directly dealing with. And the issues at hand directly should be how the government in itself is handling the entire ensemble of this virus pandemic on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago, and where the double vendors and KFC and all of that tralala is concerned. Again, if the government had an idea as to exactly what it is they were doing, the protocols in itself would have been even across the board. So small man, middle man, big man. So the point is that if this is taking place now, where all of the restaurants have to be closed, this was something that should have been done from day one. First time we recognized that there was a pandemic globally, we could not in our minds think or fathom that we were able to be shunned and shielded away from this, because we are a multicultural society. We have people leaving this country, going to not just China, to America, to Canada, to every country just about around the world. And with that said, as a government, being proactive was supposed to know from day one, not even from January, since November, because if you are looking as a leader on the world stage, a stage that you yourself is a part of, that's supposed to have lines of communication internationally, diplomatically, and is able to converse with your partners around the world in getting a level of guidance as to exactly what is taking place directly. And that in itself is giving you as an information to make better decisions for your citizens. Because we were saying since January, cancel or postpone Carnival. We are not saying to throw it out of the park for the year completely. Let's postpone it. Let's push it back maybe to August, to the August holidays or something along them lines. The point is that we have to be aware and cater not just for the good, not just for the medium, not just for the worst case scenario. We have to cater for everything across the board. That is what proactivity is. you are catering across the board because your job as government is to seek the better interest of the citizenry as a whole, period. So what I will see is that the government of the day, which includes the opposition, have failed the people once again. Every step of the way, the administrations that be are not being proactive and they are just simply being reactive to things taking place, whether it be a call from the citizens of society happening with that whole KFC and double vendor business, because that in itself was absolutely ridiculous, because at the end of the day too, if KFC in itself was able to be open, it was about putting protocol for the double people to be open as well, because you cannot say that one food is a essential service versus another food not being an essential one. That in itself now shows where the misstep of government would be, because if government had proper protocol and the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Who and what where was actually the job that they were supposed to do, having this type of protocols in place for the people to be able to operate and have clarity as to how to operate in that environment, then we would not be dealing with the situations that we are dealing with and going through all of this set of garbage that we are going through as a society. And that is the bottom line of it. And it's when the people in itself are going to realize that we are being played for fools every step of the way. And no one is being able across the board for anything that they are doing as an action item within their portfolio, whether it be minister, whether it be councillor, whether it be whoever in the public service in itself, getting a directive from the higher up in order to put down to the ground to the people. Simple mismanagement. The people, the leaders we have in Trinidad and Tobago right now have as they are running all Tobago. Simple stuff. There's nothing more to be said because it is being proven to the people time and time again. But again, the issue that we deal with as the citizenry is that we have been bred to be divided. We want to identify who is Indo, who is Trini, who is Afro Trini, who have money, who living in Glencoe and who living in Ibiza, who have prestige education, who go in secondary school, who have money from who I have money, who have nice clothes from who I have nice clothes. This is everything that we live for as a people. That is what we do as a society. Is to ensure that we can keep the lines of division in place because we have been fed the level of Gobar and Kakara over 57 years that we don't know our own ass from our elbow, and we are simply, like they always say, crabs in our bucket. And that is what we practice as a people. So it's something serious that really has to happen in Trinidad and Tobago. Because I will tell you this, the only time in Trinidad and Tobago's recent history that the people of Trinidad and Tobago came together and had identified themselves as Trinidad and Tobagonians was that one time, I believe it's in 1996 or 1994, somewhere around there, when we went to the Senegal World Cup games, where we almost got to the final. It was the only time in Trinidad and Tobago's history, and don't take my word for it, go and check all the newspapers and newsreels in that period for 48 hours, and you will realize that we had no crime, no family abuse, no murders. There was nothing wrong in Trinidad and Tobago for the first time in its history, negative towards the society, simply because everybody was by a bar, talking the Caribbean, talking the stars, talking, we as Trini, one people, Trini to the bone, and we were one people at that point. That is the only time in which we were one people. Other than that, we have been defeated every step of the way, whether it be through religion, whether it be through politics, whether it be through business or our everyday lives. That is our actual history. That is who we are. And the question is, how are we to break this? It is information, giving the people, empowering them with information, letting them be able to have the information in order for them to make better decisions. And that is another strategy and propaganda tool that the system in itself has been using against the population, because again, with division, you're given one set information one way, another set information another way. certain people against each other, and then the sit down in the high and mighty place and watching the whole citizenry fight among each other, and at the end of the day, the agenda of the people is down the toilet. But corporate always have their way. We are broken as a nation, and we do not have real leadership here in Trinidad and Tobago in the year 2020, the 21st century. We do not have it, and we must act now as a people. We must act now as a people in coming together and seeking the benefit and interest of the nation as a whole. That's my 2 cents there.
That was more than 2 cents. It was more like 10. And wheeling back to something that you said, Anthony, because that was listed on the agenda, on the storyboard of items to discuss, which is that and somebody addressed it on my post this morning, and I said tune in to the show at 8 o'clock because I'm going to discuss that there. And she basically said she had responded to that post that I read earlier by Philip that spoke about the Prime Minister because he was unable to formulate rules and come back as a big man and apologize and deal with the doubles vendor in the same way that he dealt with the others across the board. And she said that she disagreed with the post because she had anticipated that they were going to shut down all anyway, and that in other countries, some and most, or if not all, restaurants are or have been shut down. And I want to address that particular item because, one, if the case was that they were going to shut down all of these restaurants, it is the timing is very, I have to say, convenient or coincidental that they only decided to do that after social media went up in an outrage between Saturday and Sunday when this incident first came to light. So, I mean, it's either they are making policy based on public reaction, which then shows that you are a reactive government, either you're leading the conversation. And so far, they don't seem to be, especially with this matter, they don't seem to be leading the conversation and leading the discussion. And then another thing is, if the case or the argument is being made that they were going to shut them down anyway, the question is, why didn't they do that from the start? And actually, that was the comment and the argument that we in the Progressive Empowerment Party were making. One of the arguments, which is either you let all restaurants be given the same fair ability to compete in terms of selling food to the public, or you shut down all, because that is the way other countries are operating. When you look at the UK right now, we had Sana Ramloch, a pepper from the UK, on our show last week Friday, who was giving us information that none of the restaurants are open, and she was actually laughing at the fact that we are having a big debate over whether KFC or Doubles should be open, when in England there are none of the restaurants are open. The argument that we were making wasn't we weren't arguing in favor of keeping the restaurants open, even though I personally, when I saw that the Prime Minister said none would be open, I was a little disheartened. I was upset because I understand that, yes, people cook at home, but I also understand that, especially after a long week, if you're a frontline worker, being able to stop at a fast food restaurant of your choice should be something made convenient to you. I was not one of the people celebrating the closure of all restaurants. However, I believe that if we were going to open all, we open all. But if we're going to close all, close all. It should be fair across the board. And this is what I want to keep reiterating. I want to pound it in the heads of Trinbagonians. Together we aspire, together we achieve. Not half of the nation aspire and half of the nation achieve. And for everybody who preach unity and togetherness and let's hold hands and kumbaya in this time of COVID-19, let us not politicize it. And for every one of you who came on Facebook yesterday, who called into a radio station, who sent your opinions to TV6 News Reports, and said that it was good for Source and it was good for the others, and look what all your cause and all your in Indian and all your in this. For all of y'all, I want y'all to realize that you are the very problem with Trinidad and Tobago, not the fact that we not the government, and I want to point out out here, the government, they are on their own level of disgusting, but we the people, we the ones who put them there, we the ones who fight and kick down each other and trample over each other as long as it suits our own personal interests and beliefs. We are the ones who are responsible for the way this country is. And Anthony, you said it perfectly earlier. When are we going to stand up and realize we deserve so much better? We deserve so much better from our governments, and we deserve better of each other. I mean, I listen to people, Anthony, just let me finish this. I listen to people basically throw salt on the same doubles vendors that after a fest they went and line up on the avenue to ram down and yam down some doubles. And I listened to people say sauce doubles wasn't that good anyway. And I heard some of the comments, and I just, like I said, I just felt anger and utter disappointment in us as Trinbagonians and how easy it is to turn on our very own to support the other, to support the mass. And that scenario, it reminded me so much of slavery. It reminded me of the slave owner getting the house slave to go and snitch on the slaves who trying to run away to freedom. And you know what? We clap and we applaud and we say, yes, we help the master bag another one. But then when you look at our collective well-being, we all suffering in the same pot. Anthony, you were about to say something.
Well, again, I'm going to put it squarely on the shoulders of the people, only because, again, like I said earlier, the people have been bred this way 57 years now. So we have to exempt that, in my mind, because the issue in itself is truly the government and the level of incompetence as far as how they're moving forward with this situation. It's not something to joke about. It's not something to be lazed about. It is a very, very serious situation, and Trinidad can be destabilization within the society of Trinidad and Tobago, not just within the health sector, because not only we are not in a position to deal with a pandemic where we have large numbers of the population getting sick, falling sick, and having to need direct medical care in a hospital, because at the moment you have enough beds in the damn hospital to really pacify a situation such as this. The 300 beds that they talk about, what happens when we get more than 300 citizens having to be infected and needing to have direct medical care. Outside of that, we now have to look at the economic impact it's going to have on Trinidad and Tobago, and what's the government doing right now in order to proactively, again, because we are dealing with a situation that is not segregated to Trinidad and Tobago alone. We are dealing with a situation that is on a global scale, which means to say now that you are going to have some level of problem with the major heavy imports that Trinidad and Tobago have, especially where food items are concerned. This is what is sustaining the Trinidadians on the ground, the citizens on the ground. So now, if there is an exact concern, because you have the global imports all at home right now, because they are foreign, their own respective countries, there's no type of manufacturing on the ground doing it in any country. You are going to have a ripple effect. And the point is, Trinidad being so dependent on the pacifying food is concerned for its own citizens, we are not being proactive in the sense of revitalizing and directly monitoring the HNS instead of the back taxes which should have been paying out as an administration years already gone. Instead of using any portion of that money from the HNS fund to pacify taxes, use that money and develop and invest within the agriculture sector here in Trinidad and Tobago, so you are able to ensure you can feed your population in the event of a global destabilization within the economies of the world, which obviously Trinidad is going to, how are we able to safeguard the citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago? Because number one priority is to ensure you can feed your nation. Our Prime Minister has said that we do not have enough land to feed our population, because this is how uninformed this man is. He's like a plain stupid. I don't know which one. All right, but the point of the matter is, there is nothing by government, and we are talking not just the PNM. We are also talking about the UNC, because they are in opposition and they are supposed to be speaking on behalf of the people, seeking the interests of the people, always ensuring that the government has stayed on the straight and narrow path and is to the people about the questions being asked in the public. But that is not the case. No one is rallying the people now. No one is directly informing the people of the position that we are in. We are still trying to pretend that it is going to be business as usual when this blows over. And we know how long the pandemic and situation that we have to deal with directly on the ground here in Trinidad is actually going to take. Is it going to take the next 2 years? And we see a major decline, and we are able to now secure and have some level of safety factors for the nation? Is it going to extend for another month or 2 months, for that matter? We do not know. We are not able to tell the future, but the point is, the result of the day is supposed to be able to put protocols in place for every scenario and use monies accordingly that can directly help as a whole. We are not seeing that. And again, from the side of the fence. And these are people who are saying that they are so educated with the masters and bachelors and degrees and doctorates and all of this jazz. She is someone who is able to give us proper direction outside of the Progressive Empowerment Party and their think tank and collective. Show me who. People constantly telling me when I start to open my mouth to my peers in the public right now, oh, this is not a situation to be politicized and it don't need to be politics. But it's politics that get you here. It's politics that have you in this position here today. And we cannot be ignorant of that fact anymore. We have to understand that the people that we have been running down and putting up on pedestals and wanting to look at them as king and queen, dukes and duchesses, these are people who are servants of the citizenry of the country, and their only job, one job they go into parliament to do, is to bring betterment to the people, to safeguard the people, and seek the interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, people who vote for you, people who don't vote for you. The point is, once your name is Trinidad and Tobagonian, you are supposed to gain a level of benefit from the government of the day, of a level of betterment, some level of sanity, making sense, something to develop and grow on as time goes on. But we don't see that every 5-year term. You see the people going lower and lower and lower, more degraded, more having get eroded. I mean, the place has simply gone mad. The place has gone mad, and I simply cannot understand why up to this day we have not had a proper think tank from across the board. Forget about what political party you're following. Forget about who it is you like from who you don't like, man. That is a national issue. It's a national call for help that we need as citizens right now in our history, because we are not supposed to be here where we are as a nation in the year 2020, when every other country around the world, even the ones right in our own region in the Caribbean, is doing 10 times better than we are, and is presenting 10 times more betterment than their citizens are, and they have 10 times less than what we have been able to hold or been able to hold in the last few decades. So what is this we really saying to ourselves? Who is this we really trying to fool? Oh, that is the point.
That's a very good question, Anthony. And like I say, somebody said yes, we get the government that we deserve. And my response is no, the government mirrors the society that we are. Natalia, anything that you want to jump into the convo and add at this point? I know we're talking a lot and not giving you an opportunity. Anything you want to say? Natalia? Okay, I don't know if it's on my end, but I'm not hearing anything from Natalia. Um,
Internet is really sucky today, yeah?
it is. I see her lips moving, but I'm not hearing anything coming from her. So I don't know if it's my end or Natalia's end. I know the in stream is extremely bad. Natalia, hearing me? It's on Natalia's end. So I'm gonna, while Master Control sorts that out, I'm gonna read the question. Felicia, I have a question. It is not directly related, and we're still on the issue of the doubles vendors here. It is not directly related, but still connected to your post. Since food places will now be closed, where will the homeless and destitute people now find food, since the big bins will most likely be empty or less full? Has government mentioned any efforts to deal with that? Or will there be an increase in the scattering of household garbage as these persons desperately seek out food? My response, and we're going to discuss that in a little bit, but my response to this question last night was that we so casually consider one man's garbage a meal for homeless is a sad and for homeless persons is a sad indictment on this country and our failed social development ministry. The government offered no real plan even as we continue to raise the question in the public space. The fact is, they need to be taken care of as a matter of priority, as they too are vulnerable, now more so than ever. I will be addressing this question on the morning show today. And here I am addressing this question because, Anthony, I mean, this topic has so many areas and levels that you can dissect. I mean, we spoke about us as Trinbagonians not having empathy. We spoke about the government proving yesterday that they are reactive and they have no real plan for, for managing anything. We also showed that, we we stand up for a lot of nonsense in this country and we're so willing to tear each other apart once it suits our interests. But then there's also the issue of the homeless, and a lot of people would not think about that right off the bat. And I was one of those people who did not think about that right off the bat. But the reality is, Anthony, particularly in our towns and our cities and in areas like the Independence Square and the Promenade, fast food restaurants have been the supplementary or sometimes only meal for a lot of the homeless people that we see. And when I say fast food restaurants, the scraps and the garbage and the bones that they can dig out of the garbage and at the side of the road is usually what feeds our people. And for those who don't like this truth, swallow it hard and take a deep gulp today, because the truth and the reality of the situation. I saw Ministry Social Development in partnership with the Defense Force went over the weekend and actually cleaned up Riverside Plaza after we raised the issue last week of where these homeless people sleeping and living during this COVID-19 exposure period, because they are humans, they are citizens just like us, whether they have a roof over their head or not. They have a stake in this country, and our treatment of them is a reflection of us. But now that our Prime Minister has locked off all fast food and all restaurants until April 30th, that question of what do our homeless people scavenge for, and yes, it's the truth. What do they scavenge for and eat? We no longer have churches and NGOs open that can go and do it for in the afternoon or morning. So how are we and what are we doing to take care of the homeless in our society, the most vulnerable in our society, Anthony?
That is how you say that, because when you think about it, people who are not homeless, remember the government only a very small percentage of the population, any type of grant or anything to help pacify them financially, towards this quarantine period. No one is working. No one is able to generate any kind of money. There's a large portion of the population that has not got a stipend or anything of the sort from the state. So what are we to expect from the actual homeless that the state do not recognize whatsoever? Simply because even before the pandemic, was the government doing anything in order to house these people properly, give them any type of health care or whatsoever, or even see these people directly through the state, being that they were identified as homeless people, homeless citizens that have fallen through the cracks, that may have whether it be psychological issues, whether it be a drug issue, whatever the case is. The point is, the social arm of the state is failure, total failure, and that is the actual need to be to the citizens, the people we have in leadership in Trinidad and Tobago is constantly failing us every step of the way. So the same question being asked as to, are they taking into account the homeless people? I will put my head on a block to tell you that I am 100% sure that the state have not taken that into consideration, have not taken these people in any kind of way, form, or fashion in pacifying with this situation. I mean, these are homeless people and they are still able to walk the road free as the wind. Are they going to directly quarantine themselves? Are we using the state, whether it be the army or the police, to quarantine the area that has been designated for them, which is this car park down in opposite Central Street Police Station down there?
That dirty, and I talking real crass language today, but that dirty, rodent, overrun, smelly car park that we put our people, that we house our people in, that is, again, Anthony, that's a reflection of, it's a failure, Anthony, but it's also a reflection of our own failure, because it had to take this person asking this question, and I'm waiting to see what the government does to follow up on this, because I mean, washing down the car park after we raised the issue last week is one thing, but in terms of feeding these people now and housing them on a permanent basis, and I'm not talking about the makeshift centers that we make for these people and say, here, pose for some pictures, look, we're doing a good job, and then the next 2 weeks, the next month, it looking the same way you met it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about permanent structures, permanent solutions to help and assist these people. Right. What are we doing for them? And I'm reading a comment by the same young lady who asked me and said that she disagreed with the stance that the ministry, that the government, who said that she thought that the government was going to make the decision on restaurants anyway, and I she heard my reply to that. She said, here in the UK, because she's based in the UK, a mandate has been put out for all councils to house their homeless ASAP. Is that going to happen here in Trinidad and Tobago, where we have our Minister of Social Development saying things like, we have to consider the human of these, the irony of that statement, and that we have to consider that these people are human, have rights to stay out on the streets just as we have rights to do what we want as citizens. And I'm thinking she's using the argument of human rights, yet she doesn't see the irony of her statement where you're saying they have rights to stay out on the streets, not considering the fact that it's a human rights atrocity, the way we have treated them, the way we have taken care of them as an oil-rich nation, as a nation that should have every citizen in this country well off. And I'm saying, Anthony, no society is perfect, but how you treat your most vulnerable is usually a reflection on you as a nation. I'll never forget when I went to Canada 2 years ago, and I was driving in the capital city. I was in Toronto, and I was amazed and blown away by just how clean and pristine and smelling nice that their capital city is. And I mean, you can tell you can feel the money. You're walking on the streets and you can feel the money emanating from the people who walking by, from the buildings, from the businesses. It projected being a well-off society. But the thing that I paid attention to the most were the homeless people that I saw walking on the street. And it firstly it amazed me, one, that there were homeless people in such a well advanced and first world country, which of course points to the fact that no matter where you are, no matter how well off your country is, there will still be people who are impacted by mental illness, drug addictions, and just maybe down and out on hope and opportunity. But the stark contrast, Anthony, the stark contrast is these men, and it was the peak of winter time. We're just coming out of winter, but it was still very cold. They had on jackets. And I mean, you can tell they were homeless, but they weren't the homeless that we have grown accustomed to here in Trinidad, walking around with no shoes on, smelling of feces, crocus bag on your back, looking like you haven't had a bath in 2, 3, 4 months. They didn't look like that. And I had to compare the situation because yes, these men have chosen, as my tour guide was saying, some of them have actually chosen to live on the street, but the way that they are taken care of, the opportunities that they have to visit a shelter, to get drug rehabilitation if they so choose, to get an opportunity to find a job if they so choose, it's available to them. And I say always, how we take care of and treat the homeless and the most vulnerable in our society is a reflection of us as a country. And when I consider how we have basically sidelined and turned a blind eye on our homeless in Riverside Plaza and in all other parts of the country, we have failed. We have failed as a nation to take care of our own.
Yeah, you should see what's going on in Sawa. That's vagrants walking all over the place. It's like they have a one-third of the population walking the ground or the streets in San Juan. And it's totally amazing. I think maybe San Juan is the second largest area that you have homeless people residing in. Half of them sitting under the bridges, in the rivers, and all this type of madness. Again, it's just the system that is not for it. There aren't any proper protocols in place for the arms of the state to operate efficiently with proper benefits to the people. There's always issues, of course, before dispensing any type of anything coming from the state to the people. There's always some type of issue somewhere along the line, and it's simply because we don't have real leadership. That's our problem, It's our leadership. We do not have proper leadership. And again, I'm not putting this squarely on the shoulders of the people because we are dealing with generations being born into this system, into this way of life, into this doctrine of how to conduct themselves, cutting each other's throats and drawing the lines in the sand and having this level of division. This is the society we have. This is what we've bred. And again, this stems from the leadership that we've had since day one. When the people choose to change that is when we will have betterment, is when things will make sense. When we can identify ourselves as Trinidad and Tobagoan full stop and have the same agenda for everybody across the board, nobody better than anybody else. It is fair enough for the citizenry to have exactly what Tom could have, Mary could have, James could have, and across the board. Whether you have money, you don't have money. You said it just now, where the system in itself having to be able to address our homeless. Think about it for a second. The homeless is not being directly quarantined. They're still able to walk the streets very freely. We do not have any type of testing taking place where they are concerned. You don't know if one of our homeless or several of our homeless have contracted the disease, if they are going about touching services, whether it be in the towns, whether it be in the villages or city. We don't know. And again, there's not a proper, clear protocol as to which the government needs to operate under. Like you said, you sanitize the city, you sanitize the town, you wash the street, you prepare it for a period of time that you know the population will be entering back into the workforce, entering back into the public domain because of what we know this virus is all about. We have the information. Again, the information is key, is being able to dispense it to the right arms of state and having a protocol which can address across the board the safety factors that the citizenry have to be observant of. Is that simple? Is that simple? You are not putting a man in a car to drive you from point A to B and know he is going to drive you off of a cliff, and you are okay with that. It can't be so.
Exactly.
And this is what government is doing to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They constantly driving the damn car over a cliff, and it's the people holding the shitty end of the stick every single time. And one taking lives with it. And we cannot look at it as something minor, very major, because again, we are not only being affected where the health system is concerned, because it's at this point, and this pandemic is not going to help the situation whatsoever. So we must do everything in our power to try to quarantine this thing and to put all the safety factors across board in the public sector, in the private sector. You're going through the period now, and okay, we're extending this quarantine period for another 2 weeks. This is something that should have been done 2 months ago, but hey, better late than never.
Better late than never. And Anthony, at this point it's 9:03 a.m. We're supposed to be our free. We only got this morning. And, we've been getting some feedback from across the globe, from the United States, from the UK. Today we're actually bringing in a guest from Germany. I would call him a PEP supporter in Germany, Meinolf. I hope I pronounced that right. When he comes on, he may probably buff me for getting it incorrect, but it's Meinolf Mina, I believe. We'll be back soon, taking a very, very quick break. Master Control, I just want one ad because I want to jump back into this conversation. We have a lot to talk about. We are discussing the COVID-19 response right when we come back. Stay tuned.
Antel is Trinidad's most reliable and technically experienced ICT company, providers of quality structured cabling, Cat6 data fiber and power cables. We also stock cabling infrastructure basket-type cable trays for server rooms and data centers. Antel also installs and maintains video security systems including cameras, alarms and electronic entrance locks for businesses and residential properties. Call Antel 674-1406 or 783-9250.
We are back, and joining us in the conversation, did we lose Natalia? It seems like we lost Natalia. Natalia seems to be having a lot of technical difficulty this morning. But we're bringing into the conversation Meinolf Mia. Good morning. Did I correct?
Good morning, Felicia, and good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, the first name was very wonderful pronounced, so stay with Meinolf.
Okay, Meinolf. So we will use Meinolf. We also have Anthony Defour in the conversation, who is joining us by telephone. Anthony, Meinolf is on the call.
Morning, Meinolf.
Morning, Tony. How are you?
Meinolf, we've been discussing, like I said before the break, like you and I would have been preparing for yesterday. I mean, we are in the midst of a pandemic, a COVID-19 pandemic to be specific, that is impacting approximately or over 30% of the globe. And Germany is not, they are being impacted as well. And we did want to get the response and the way the virus is being addressed by the German government, by the federal as well as the state government in Germany. So over to you.
Well, how is it addressed? We are on a kind of a lockdown. We call it here, we have contact limits. We should not be out here with more than 2 people, except you are a family. Then you can go out with your kids and you can join in a group of 4, 5, 6 or whatever. But otherwise, it's only 2 people who are allowed to be outside. You should use social distancing, preferred 2 meters apart from each other. You cannot go out for having dinner, lunch, or whatever. Restaurants are closed. Pickups and drive-throughs are open. Deliveries, yes, also possible. Even small cafes. So we have in our country here bakeries where they have attached a small cafe with 10, 12, 15 seats. These cafe areas are closed. Bakery open as such, yes, but no food things are open as such for consumption inside of the premises of the restaurant. The government as such is where we have closed schools, closed universities, closed kindergartens. People who are working in essential businesses and nurses, doctors and so on, there are special facilities, kindergartens open where they can have their kids surveyed the day over, but all the rest closed. One stupid example, for instance, our well-known autobahns without speed limit are completely is wrong, but 70% less traffic on the autobahns, 80 to 90% less traffic in the cities. And if you are gathering in larger groups, like on the weekend, we had a wonderful weather here, and people were sitting on the rivers and in the parks. The police is controlling, and they will spread you apart, and you will be fined from 200 to 500 euros per person.
Oh wow! So you're getting fined if they fine you in groups. I mean, again, things that are similar to what we have adopted here in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, our numbers are a little bit different. We started off at 10. Now you can no longer gather in groups bigger than 5. I think the distance is subjective to where you live. Some places are saying 2 meters. Some places are saying 6 feet. Some places are saying 3 feet. So, I mean, I guess the exact measurements and distance parameters would vary across the world. However, the idea and the concept of social distancing still, that basic concept still exists. You mentioned something similar here to what we would have experienced up until yesterday, at least some of our more fortunate restaurants, which is the ability to still conduct delivery and curbside pickup. When the Prime Minister shut down all restaurants yesterday, was there any mention, Anthony, that you heard of delivery still being made available of curbside pickup, or is it that all services are completely shut down?
As far as I understand, it's all services that are completely shut down because it was advised not to allow or have people from businesses or from coming to stay home because that holds a level of risk as well, because no one can be taken as either the people consuming or the employees of the company. Making the delivery if anybody is tainted or has been exposed. So as far as I understand, it is a no across the board. There's not to be any operation of any food company on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago, whether it be delivery or not.
And that is something that, I mean, Germany is obviously doing completely differently. And I have to ask, because the population of Germany is how much thousand people? I mean, million, sorry.
80 million, 80.
80 million people compared to 1 million people here in Trinidad and Tobago. Yet you're saying that delivery and curbside pickup is still available in Germany.
Right.
It is. And you see, for everybody who was applauding that decision yesterday, basically when the Prime Minister threw all the monopoly pieces off the board and said nobody can play, he really did not think this through properly, because again, our argument was never supposed to be cool.
May I ask you a stupid question? Is there anything thought through properly with all this COVID thing? I have a bit followed some press conferences, media briefings. Excuse me, I have never seen a media briefing in our country over here. Well, if it was long, it was 60 minutes, and it was really long, a long media briefing, including questioning the politicians or doctors or medical scientists or whatever. When I see your media briefings, this is just talk, but no information. Information is wrong. Certainly there is some kind of information behind. But where is the serious information, the detailed information? It's just, should I use this wonderful word, BS?
Can I have a question?
You can use that word. Go ahead, Anthony. Anthony has a question for Meinolf.
Yes, please.
The delivery workers, are they geared with personal protective gear such as the masks and gloves and so on?
It is, well, when you say gear, they do it themselves, yes. They are not supplied with this material from the government, but they are requested to wear it, so they have to source it themselves, number one. Number two, the delivery people, for instance, they don't deliver it by hand. It's not hand delivery, so they put it in front of your door. They ring the bell and step back some steps. They have all this electronic payment things with them, or you have paid up front already by some kind of electronic payment, which is arranged with the restaurant or whoever, and that's it. So cash money is not changed anymore in that way. That's it. Not even in small bakeries. So when I'm buying my small little bread in the morning, or if I would do that in the morning, it would cost me 35 cents. This 35 cents I would pay with a card, so no cash money is changing anymore.
That is good. And that is a simple indication to show that this country has leadership. They have proper protocols and policies in place to deal with this pandemic, pandemic, I should say, within their country.
Seriously.
Because without they were going and making deliveries, their masks on. There were situations where I saw delivery drivers not even having gloves on, as well as even the workers within these restaurants. They were all operating and preparing food without face masks. And I just thought that if they're speaking to each other, we are not sure as to if there are any employees that may be infected or been exposed, and that is one source of spread right there. And the system, again, did not have a clear protocol in which for our citizens to operate under in this time of crisis. That is the issue. Issue is leadership in Trinidad and Tobago. Full stop.
Leadership, yes, leadership from the top downward, but it's also kind of, how should I say, behavior of the people. So there was nothing given or instructed, requested from the government, for instance, for supermarkets. The supermarkets themselves, to be on the safe side, they said we limit the number of people who are coming into our supermarket, so they have security in front of the door. Some do. Others, not others, nearly every supermarket has the request that you drive around with a trolley, and the trolley is more or less already the distance to the next person, so you do not need to take care too much how close do I come to the next person in front of me, and so on. So if you have a trolley, you're on the safe side. When you come close to the cashier, you see marks on the ground. The cashier itself, the people are sitting behind plexiglass windows. Cashiers who were facing each other are now separated with empty cases of some kind of drinks, whatever it was, water, cocoa, whatever. So they put the cases in between. And people are, when they come around the corner and see some people, ooh, a human being is coming, be careful. So people are sensitive themselves, and this is what is probably a bit missing in Trinidad when they see long queues. Well, it's anyway also not supported from the government, paying checks to your retired people to collect it from the bank. Come on, how stupid is this?
And Meinolf, that I also wanted to touch on that aspect of the COVID-19 response in Germany as well, because I mean, like I say, there are some similarities with the way we do. For example, visit the supermarket at least 3 times since all this happened, and there are the plexiglasses in between yourself and the cashier. You have somebody on the outside guiding you how far you can come in, telling you to stay at a certain distance behind. They're sanitizing the supermarket trolley. So yeah, I'm seeing it happening mostly from the private businesses. However,
I can't hear you anymore.
and in doing so, we are trying to
Felicia, I can't
act
hear
with
you.
people. It's having. Are you hearing me now?
Now again, yes, you were on the moon.
Yeah, so they seem to have a dip just now. I was in this COVID-19 shutdown. We're trying to limit the amount of human contact, and it's the whole point of social distancing and self-isolation that we are imposing on the public. So with that in particular should come rules, and I'm considering the fact that we had these fast food restaurants operating for the past 3 weeks, issues such as you can't eat inside of the restaurant, etc. But was anybody paying attention to the delivery side of the business? What you just described there, where you have to have gloves, you have to have electronic payment, all of that, was that being monitored? And I saw that a picture on social media on Sunday, or was it Monday? I saw a picture on social media that had a picture of the doubles vendor with mask and glove on, handing the food to the person who came to pick it up from the curbside. And juxtaposed with that picture is one of a Starbucks employee, no mask on, but gloves on, and handing the food to somebody on the curbside. And I asked the question, and I continue to ask the question of the population, Meinolf, of you, what was the difference, other than the type of food that you're selling? What was the difference between what the doubles vendor was offering to do and what the Starbucks vendor was actually doing? Except that the doubles vendor seemed to be going the extra distance to prevent any transmission of disease, actually adopting more serious station procedure as opposed to the bigger establishments. And this is a point that I want to hang to people, because in the past 3 weeks, how many of our delivery services have adopted the procedure of wearing masks and gloves? And how many of them have we allowed into our homes, handing us food that we are unaware of that may have been transmitting this virus? So now to come to yesterday and say that we're shutting down all because we just done with fast food service, we done with restaurant services, but not paying attention to the fact that in the past 3 weeks, been doing the right thing, is not working against ourselves.
The point I'm seeing is whoever has taken this decision, your government, they are politicizing too much. The first priority should be the good feeling, that the health of the people, and there is no difference between a doubles vendor and Starbucks, KFC, McDonald's, Burger King, whoever. This is, excuse me, so unbelievable that you doubles vendors, if they take care of the safety features, mask, gloves, and so on, and distancing, it's better to close Starbucks than a doubles vendor. So you politicize too much, and this is, well, we are also a quite political country over here and a quite political population, but in this special situation over here, this special time over here, nobody is really talking about politics anymore. The question is, how can we overcome this? How can we go through this? Not how can you go through, how can you go through, how can company ABC survive and the others, I don't care. It's not anymore a you and they and them, it's more like a we. And the people take care of each other. So elderly people, the neighbors are buying for them, they are going shopping for them. Some younger groups who are not allowed to go to school now, have formed a group and supply food to these people. May I also say, you have once said all the wonderful celebrities and these great sports people, oh, they earn millions of money, and the others, and the nurses would deserve more. Yes, I agree, they deserve more. But when I see what these people, for instance, is also, not every big sports guy, not every celebrity is doing over here. So one player, when this COVID-19 case started over here in Germany, we had an area, a small little county, where we had thousands of infected in a short time. So one of these nice football players is serving all people who are under quarantine with food every day on his own cost. We have other nice sports people here who have founded foundations. They collect money. They support non-government organizations, welfare organizations, to take care of the homeless, to feed them with food. We have a small bakery over here in my place here in my town. It's just 50,000 people. They say we had to close our cafe part and we will open it 2 days a week, and we will serve 2 different types of bread and such things to the homeless and to the people in need, who really, to the poor people who need bread, and they're doing it on themselves. So it's more a we than a them, and this is, I would say, recommended for Trinidad as well. You should more think in we than in you.
Exactly, and that, I think, is missing. So, I mean, we pay a lot of lip service here in Trinidad and Tobago to standing together and to unity. And like Anthony said, the last time I actually saw the people really stand together was, actually, I was going to about the World Cup incident, the last time we qualified for the World Cup. There was a more recent incident where I saw us stand together, and that was to attack Nicki Minaj's husband, whatever his name, Petty, when he pushed Iowa George's hand away. That was one of the last times that I saw us stand together as Trinidadians against a united front. And look at the absolute rubbish that we stood up for. When it comes to things like really, and I said this yesterday, it would have filled my heart with so much joy if I saw us rally up the doubles supporters and the doubles vendors, and stand in solidarity with them. If we as a people had said, you know what, what's good for the big corporation is big for the small corporation, rather than find all kind of reasons and excuses to vilify and demonize the same people whose food, whose services have kept many of us from going hungry at night. We we turn on each other, and that unity that we are so quick to talk about, but so following through on, is what I really want to see for us as Trinbagonians. Because, like you say, Meinolf, in your own town in Germany, y'all are surviving this by actually standing together. And you know what? If you can say, what about the 3,000 or 2,000 workers that will now be on the breadline because restaurants, big chain restaurants are closed down? But you never thought about the 1,000 small business owners that have also been closed down. Then you're not about true unity. You're not about really standing together. And you need to, I'm talking to you, Trinbagonians, you need to revisit your priorities. You need to revisit your idea of togetherness. You need to revisit your idea of country if you can think that the answer and the solution to this is to destroy our own to prop up another man's own. There's no other way of seeing it.
If I may say this, I have been in Trinidad several times, and I got to know Trinidad and the Trinidadians, Trinbagonians. In my experience, in my view, they are wonderful people. They're really wonderful people. And what you say with stay together and all such things, I have always experienced the hospitality, and I'm not talking about the big guys. I'm not talking about when I was going to the villas of the big guys. I'm talking about the people really living like normal people. These were the homes of the workers on my projects, where I was invited to come to. These were small little guest houses where I stayed. I did not only stay in nice hotels. Trinbagonians are such nice people. If
we can be,
if they are allowed to be nice, I hope you get what I mean.
That is exactly. No, I understand what you mean. Are you talking from politics? Because everything that you described there, Meinolf, is outside of politics. Once politics is not involved, we are some really nice people, you know. The only lines that we tend to be divided by are racist and political lines. Compliments and
that you say we tend to be divided. You let yourself divide. Why do you allow that?
Completely right. We allow ourselves to be divided. And I ask that question all of the time because, like I said, of the victory yesterday that's so celebrating, who are the real losers in that? Who are the real... You think government ministers have to worry about ordering from restaurants with private chefs in their home, meal for 2 days? You think they have to worry about...
No, definitely not. But may I say something very... something dangerous? I don't know whether this is the right wording, and please apologize. My mother tongue is German and not English. I remember
no problem.
when we were closed over here already, and Central Europe had difficulties in Italy, in France, Austria, and so on. When these countries were closed already or were on a certain kind of a lockdown, shutdown, and so on, the UK was still open, more or less. The UK was looking at it very from the top, from the surface somewhere, and it seemed that they wanted to go a different way. This immediately changed dramatically when Mr. Boris Johnson admitted that he was COVID-19 positive. Immediately, the whole nation was turned head over heels. In Sweden, the same right now. They wanted to go their own way. Now it's coming closer and closer. But in the UK, it was, for me, it was amazing to see. Immediately, within the 2 days after Boris Johnson was said to be positive, things changed. And everything closed down more and more and more and more and more. So
I saw
anything to happen like that in your country?
Meinhof, I saw that he actually committed an additional £1.12 billion for the development of a COVID-19 vaccine and cure. And I mean, and it takes those in power, it takes those who we consider elite. Sometimes it takes them being impacted by the very thing that impacts us most as the people on the ground for us to see any change. And that's something like when you said, why do we allow ourselves to be divided? I have to come back to that point because there is a them and us scenario that I think we are very, I want to say we're blind to, or we pretend to be blind to, because in this entire scenario, there is that aspect of those who have and those who don't have. And someone said yesterday that it's amazing when you look at all of these economies that boast billions and trillions in profit that have citizens who, if they just lose one paycheck, and that is what we are experiencing right now, people who are losing out on just one paycheck, how that can drastically and dramatically change their lives. And when you consider how rich and wealthy a nation is, who is the we that we talk, who is it the big business and the corporations that are that are putting or having these massive profits, or is it really these citizens? And when you consider the fact usually citizens who suffer, you ask the question again, why do we allow ourselves divided when we're to a once a pandemic like this, because one whole lives are thrown into disarray as compared to those in power, those who means beyond the means that we can ever hope to experience. And I mean, they say a crisis is a time to learn, but it's also a time to really and truly rally together. And I have to say anything from this crisis is that we as Trinbagonians are really not ready to have the conversation about putting aside our partisan politics, putting aside our tribalist and racist politics, really being able to stand together in solidarity. That incident this week.
I'm not agreeing with you. I'm not agreeing with you. Don't say that. I have often enough in my life, and I hear it when I'm following you or others, this sentence, we like it like that. What a nonsense. We like it like that.
I 100% disagree with that statement, but I do agree that we promote the behaviors that subscribe to that kind of sense. And you see, to understand everything that you are trying to talk about, Meinhof, it takes a real level of introspection to sit down as a Trinbagonian and really think beyond your own political and bias. And when I say we are not ready as people, we haven't been shown enough. I would big up the Progressive Empowerment Party for advocating for us being able to side the racist politics. But in terms of our leadership, they have actually preyed and taken advantage of the fact that we are so divided. That in the double that we dominated the conversation this morning, it was used as a tool. It was used as a tool that is now being further perpetuated as a racist tool in society. And we're having this discussion about, and I'm being very blunt, about niggers eating chicken and coolie eating doubles, and that argument, in that argument, just fight, pulling and tugging at each other, yet everybody is in the scenario and everybody is feeling. I want to bring in Anthony into the discussion now because I know we're having a very intense conversation right now. But Anthony, anything you want to add to this?
Well, the same thing we're preaching. I personally will not put this on the shoulders of the people, because we have generations coming into our society that simply comes directly into the system that is. That system is one that ensures we have a level of division. That is from our leaders, our leaders of 50 hear 11 administrations passing through the doors of that parliament. And we have not had a leader that has sat in that, calling themselves the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, seeking genuinely the interest of the people. And as a whole, it's always had some type of oligarchy, some type of being pulled behind closed doors, giving directives to the governments of the days past and present. The people need to have information. I would say thumbs up to the progressive empowerment to be able to be the vehicle of change, the vehicle of information to the people, breaking things down to a position where they are able to understand in layman's terms. You do not have to have no big education, no big degree to understand what it is we are saying to the population. What we need to do ourselves as an institution, such as the Progressive Empowerment Party, is to be able to get that information across the board nationally for every citizen to hear the Progressive Empowerment Party, its policies, the rights of the people, and where the nation and what it takes in order for us to get there. It's not rocket science. We continuously say this. It's a matter of leadership. We need to have people in the position of leadership that have a vision, that have a directive, that have a national agenda that will uplift the nation as a whole, with its citizens, with its public sector, with its private sector, with the healthcare system, with the education system, security in itself, with food independence. The point is that everything that we're about is not impossible to accomplish. It is simply to have the will to do it and putting the people in place in order to get the job done. Simple, simple, simple scenario and blueprint and presentation that we are putting into the public. Again, the biggest stumbling block that the Progressive Empowerment Party has is being able to reach 1.4 million people at the same time. That's you right there. Because mainstream media is doing everything in their power because they have the political work of the day, is ensuring that our message is not getting out there. They are doing everything in their power and putting whatever misinformation or propaganda information to the public. The point of the matter is that there must be some way, form, side of social media that the Progressive Empowerment Party is able to get its message out to the entire population to shift that level of propaganda that the citizenry have been experiencing for the last 57 years by the past and present leadership. Needs to be the same way the Progressive Empowerment Party is gaining in numbers where the membership is concerned. It is simply because those people have now heard the voice, have now understand where they are, who they are as a people, and what needs to be done in order for them themselves to for how many years now. So again, the portion of the population that is still ignorant and still being the way that they are in creating, like you said, Felicia, talking the nigger coolie politics and who eating curry and who eating fried chicken. That kind of thing is something embedded into the minds of the people from birth, because these are born not knowing anything other and thinking to themselves that this is the way that we often do things here. When you look at a Trinidadian leaving the shores of Trinidad and to any other football country, you realize before they even come off the plane, they assimilate the laws and the ways of that said country. They're doing the right thing. Why is it as that same Trinidadian could come back to Trinidad, he could buy a box of Royal Castle or KFC and driving down the road, eat drumstick and throw the bone outside the window, something that he would not do in a first world country. It's because it's accepted here. Have created this society as it is right now. In fact, it's not us, the people, that created it. It's the leaders that we've had are the ones that have still held on to the colonialism of what the Queen had used and what France had used and what Spain had used, why there was slavery and why there was oppression and all these different negativities that any society deals with. That is our heritage, that is our history, to say that is what the people have come from. And when we have gotten independence, we have not changed that doctrine in itself. Our leaders have used it to the best of their ability to keep the people divided. So this way, they themselves were able to go ahead with the agenda that was placed in front of them by the office or the system or corporate power that springs behind them. And again, we have not had that to seek the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago until now. Until now. Thank goodness for the Progressive Empowerment Party. And again, the message is there. We are not saying we have God's gift to Trinidad and Tobago, but the point of the matter is we are the option with the simplest, straightforward policies that can work because it's been tested world over, been developed for the last 10 years. And it is something that has taken a major account to the demographics on the ground, being multicultural, multi-religious, in the demographic that we are as a nation. These things have been taken into account, and we have the beginning. It's called 21 policies, and that piece of information is what the population needs to understand and need to be able to accept to usher in the change that the people of Toronto truly deserve and is way, way overdue for. 57 years overdue, and the time is now. The time is now. We are not in a position to continue to make mistakes because we are making mistakes to a point of no return, where the country in itself may end up worse than what Venezuela is right now, showing us presently what their citizens are dealing with, where their own citizens are running to the shores of Trinidad and Tobago looking for hope and opportunity, a country that is also broken. But in a position now where we do not have enough money to float our economy for any length or time, do not have the leadership place in order to have forward-thinking policies and vision on a national level. Why we are where we are today. So again, for me, my reasoning for supporting the Progressive Empowerment Party is because I know that I can have better through this institution, through the political vehicle. And the key for us at this point is to get that message to the population of Trinidad and Tobago, 1.4 million of us. That is the way for the people in the nation, what will allow them to make better. That is my 2 cents.
Indeed. Meinolf, anything to add to that?
What do I have to add to that? It is important to bring this information over to the people. I loved, Tony said sometime in this show, empowering the people with information. And this is exactly the point, empowering people with information. But who is responsible for spreading information? It's neither the party, certainly the parties, whichever party are responsible to spread their own information. But what is about, sorry, I know it's a very hot topic in your country, the media. The media is, well, should I call it still the media? I was surprised when I saw the other day in a press conference with your minister and Akash Samaru advised, don't mute my micro again, I have another question, anything like that. This was really brave, this was cool, this was great. Please, people, ask the right questions. Where are the journalists? I don't want to see reporters who just report what he said, or who just report he had a nice tie and she had a nice shirt and skirt and whatever. I want to see journalists asking questions, and not then you can really, how should I say, see how these people react, and you could immediately see after Akash's question, press conference over, media briefing finished, done, gone. Ask them the right questions, insist on answers. Don't let them tell you stories. Detailed information, clear information, not 10 sentences. 1 and 1 is 2 everywhere in this world. I don't need to get explained 1 plus 2 is 3, minus 1 is perhaps 1, but if I add another 4 and deduct another 3 when I'm ending at 1, this is all, excuse me, bullshit for I don't know for whom. And this is what these people do. 1 and 1 is 2. Finish. Ask the right question. Is it dark or light outside? Is it sunshine or cloudy outside? There cannot be talks, I don't know what, stories, books. Ask the right questions. Where are your journalists? Where are the brave people who go out and tell these people sorry? When I heard they didn't want to release information about COVID-19 infected patients, excuse me, why not? This is necessary. If the population should be protect themselves, if they should be careful. Do I need to be careful when I'm in Port of Spain where all the people are in San Fernando, or the other way around? How crazy is this? Insist on this information. Insist on it. And if they don't answer, you go out again.
I mean, that question that you asked about the journalists, Mainov, I mean, it's one that we've been talking about, particularly, like Anthony mentioned, where the Progressive Empowerment Party has been blocked from bringing certain information into the public space, from being able to ask particular questions of our government. You turn to and you look to these people in the media, you look to these reporters and these journalists and media personalities to be the buffer between the people and the government, to be the ones to ask the right questions, and they continuously let us down. I, just like you, I was not impressed by Aka Samaru and his whole you turned off my mic tantrum last week, because like Philip said, the mic of the Progressive Empowerment Party, his mic has been muted for almost 3 years, and we've been asking pertinent, relevant questions as it pertains to the actual governance of this country, real questions about where we are going, why are certain decisions being made, who is following up on this, who is in charge of that, and they have gone unacknowledged. And like you say, in certain countries, I remember when the government of Barbados won by an overwhelming majority, and the issue came up of who is going to be the opposition, as they won no seats in parliament, and it was recommended at that time that the media act as the opposition for the people. The media act as the ones to ask the questions of the relevant government in office, because they are now the gatekeepers and the people who safeguard the country from the politicians making decisions that are not in the interest of the best, in the interest of all. And I look to the media here in Trinidad and Tobago, and they disappoint me, they let me down, because they clearly, some of them are in the hands of politicians and 1% business owners who are financing advertising in some of these papers, and they're not focused on the truth. A media person focused on the truth would be asking, but Prime Minister Keith Rowley, I just raise my hand. One question. Rather than shut down all restaurants, rather than make food unavailable for all, why not implement certain measures that are fair and across the board, can give everybody an equal playing field, as well as still feed a percentage of the nation who are unable to cook, who are unable to meal prep, and everything that we are now forced to do? Why not do that? And you see, we don't have a media, we don't have journalists that are interested in doing that. And I see it's 10 to 10, and we usually take calls at 9:30 and allow you to talk your talk. We have just about 10 minutes, so if anybody does want to call in, the number is 769-4590. Mainov, I wanted to touch on another issue which pertains to the grant reliefs that you are or may be entitled to in Germany. As it is right now, we are being told in Trinidad and Tobago that we're getting up to $1,500 TT dollars in up to 3 months in salary relief if you've been retrenched or made redundant if you are temporarily out of work. However, many people are reporting that these grants are either not accessible or very difficult to access as it involves a long process of running around to your old employers, finding a photocopy printing machine at this point in time when many businesses are closed down. What is the relief situation like in terms of salary and money relief looking like right now in Germany?
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, I
Can you
can.
hear me? Okay, so it's very difficult to what you have in your country or what may exist in many other countries. We have a system here that is called short-time working. So when companies have to slow down or more or less to close or only have 50% of the work, they can ask for short-time working for the people. That means the people are paid for the time they work, and for the rest time, which they are short, they will get out of a national insurance thing, they will get 66%. Whatever. So let's make it easy. If you work 50% and you miss 50%, from this missing 50%, you get 66% paid. So 50 normal plus 66 out of 50 makes a total. You have 80 whatever. So it's still okay to survive, but it does not let you survive for the whole time. Are you still there?
Okay. I see Master Control is saying that your video is stuck, but we're still hearing you. I'm hearing him now.
I don't mind. My face is not so important. So
that's all right. You go ahead.
These people are supported like that. If you are completely set free, so you are unemployed, there is an unemployment insurance, a state unemployment insurance, which you have when you are employed to pay in some commission and fee every month. And if you are unemployed, you get some, also around 60% out of that for a certain time period. So if this all does not let you survive because you have kids or your wife, husband is also unemployed now, we have a social welfare system which jumps into it. So nobody will be left on the breadline in that form. Well, you cannot jump anymore with that what you get. You can certainly not have big stakes anymore, but you have enough to survive.
That's good because I mean, in terms of the disbursements of these funds, is it easily accessible, or do you have to go through a process of going into your counselor or your local minister to apply?
No, nobody goes anywhere here right now. This is online. Everything is done online. You don't need to go anywhere anymore. You do it by phone, you do it by email, you do it by WhatsApp, you do it by computer, at least electronically. Nobody you have to see anymore. For business, for instance, it is small businesses could get support for the next 3 months, depending on the number of employees you have. So if you are a solo entrepreneur or up to 5 employees you can get 9,000 euro. From 5 to 10 employees, you can get 15,000 euro. And then I explained yesterday in our preparation for this talk that we are a federal state. In some of the federal states, you can get a bit more. In some, you can get a bit less. But in general, all over the whole nation, it's the figures which I mentioned to you. Larger businesses can get credits granted by the German Development Bank, which is a government bank. So 90% of the credits are guaranteed by the state, by the government, and the other 10% by the handling bank. But as banks are difficult to deal with and they only think of their own profit, they were not really keen to guarantee the remaining 10%. So for smaller businesses who cannot submit nice papers, documents right now in form of business plans, how can you give a business plan if you don't know when we open again? So what turnover will you have next month, in 2 months, in 3 months? So the government now is extending the guarantee to up to 100%. And that means that you are able to get a credit guaranteed by the government in the amount of the turnover of the last 3 months in average. So this can go up to 800,000, a million euro per company. But that means when you get this credit guarantee and this subventions, you need to employ your people as long as possible, even if it is on the short-term working or a short work. You need to employ your people as long as possible. Everything is done to bridge this period. So when we open again, you don't need to look for new people again. Your experienced staff is still there. They can immediately start again, and everything can go smoothly again. At least that's the goal which we all want to achieve.
And I mean, exactly what you just said, that's what we need to achieve. The idea is, and we understand that this is going to disrupt the operation of almost the entire globe. I mean, yesterday my friend was pointing out to me that even ordering something on Amazon, and these are the small things that you do think about, even ordering something on Amazon, there's no longer that fast overnight shipping that you can get if you wanted to buy a flat iron. They're only shipping and prioritizing essential items like gloves and masks and things that are considered critical at this point. I mean, you're not thinking along those lines when you think of just how many things are impacted by this pandemic, but it's that serious when you get down into the meat of it. And the idea is, when we do come out of this, and everybody is hoping that it is sooner rather than later, we have a level of economic and business continuity. And this is where I believe, and it's always interesting to hear from different perspectives across the globe. So I thank you for bringing your perspective today. Well, what's your perspective?
May I say one thing more? What we have learned out of this crisis already over here is we did rely too much on, how should I say, foreign supply chains, so especially supply chains via China. And discussions are starting here already again that we have to concentrate several manufacturing over here in at least Europe, if not our own country again. And this, I think, is very, very important when you talk about KFC and your nuggets again. Forget the chickens. The chickens you can grow yourself. But hey, come on! You don't need KFC. You need doubles. Besides, that would be anyway in the preparation.
Indeed. Thank you very much for joining us. We are at the end of our program. Do you have any closing comments before we sign off?
Well, closing comments. How should I say? This is not you in person, not Felicia, not Tony, not everybody I know personally. You, all the Trinnies and Trinbagonians, and 80-90% of the population who is really nice and fine. Let your real face come out. Let your real face come out. And show your real face. And don't hide it anymore. Don't hide yourself in front of nice suit and tie boys around and long-dressed women around. Excuse me, the boy into the shorts on the beach is perhaps even more important for your life than the other guy.
Very well said. Thank you much for that contribution, Meinolf. And thank you so much for bringing a perspective from Germany this morning for the rest of our viewers here in Trinidad and Tobago and across the globe. Anthony, do you have any closing comment on your end?
Well, all I would say is he said it perfectly. One thing that we've learned is that we are too heavily dependent on supply chain, foreign supply chain, and we should put greater development and emphasis locally and creating industries to be self-sufficient across the board, whether it be local manufacturing, whether it be within agriculture, being able to feed ourselves. Again, going into and redeveloping education and using new techniques and tools where security is concerned, protecting our borders and policing on the ground. We have to take this opportunity right now, Trinidad and Tobago, and use it. For the silver lining in all of this that I keep saying is that we are posed right now to actually have the opportunity to reboot the republic, to restart things, to redevelop things here in Trinidad and Tobago, the way we do business, the way we politics, with the way we teach where education is concerned, the way we learn, just everything across the board. And again, the emphasis in creating a greater value towards the dollar locally here, as well as securing our agriculture where we are able to feed ourselves. And we just have to redevelop everything that we do across the board. And again, the key to that is for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, information. Information is key for you.
Yeah.
Information has been dispensed for the last 57 years, has been systematically done the way it's been, why we are where we are today. And the new form of information that the Progressive Empowerment Party is bringing forth for the population, this is where common sense will prevail.
Thank you, Anthony.
OTP.
Thank you. Meinolf, Anthony, and Natalia, thank you very much for joining me on another very informative episode of Pep Talks in the Morning. Tomorrow we will be tuning into our sister isle, Tobago, and getting a I won't say consultation, but getting a feel for what is happening over in Tobago as we continue on our journey of assessing the COVID-19 response and reactions across the globe. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Pep Talks in the Morning. We will be back tomorrow, Wednesday, 8th of April. And during this COVID-19 period, as we always say, let's stay together by